Hey folks, it is John Hinestrosa again from Strosa Legal Nurse Consulting. I'm coming to you from my car once again, and I want to talk to you today about two different things. The first thing is the length of DMEs or defense medical exams, the length of time that they usually take, and the other thing is about picture taking during a defense medical exam, because I just left the dermatology DME and it's fresh in my mind. So the first thing, I wanted to make a video the other day, but I didn't have time. It seems like when I'm driving is the only time that I have, and usually on Fridays, because I only have usually one DME on Fridays. So I want to talk about the length. 2 days ago I had the shortest DME ever. It was 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Okay, that's my new record. The previous record was about 6 or 7 minutes a few years back. But usually defense medical exams take about 45 minutes. That's the usual, at least in my experience, 99% of the time, 45 minutes or less. They can take up to an hour, especially if it's a bilingual, or not a bilingual, but a client that only speaks Spanish or that only speaks Russian or Armenian or whatever, and there's interpreters involved and they have to repeat. So it may take up to an hour sometimes. But even then, usually it's about 45 to 50 minutes. There is a place in Long Beach that I go to that always takes like from 1 hour and 10 minutes to 1 hour and 30 minutes. Just because of the way, not because the whole thing takes, the interview and the examination takes that long, but because of the way they do it, where you take the history and then you go back to the waiting room and wait for the doctor to call you. So usually it takes a little longer there at that place. But it can take up to 2 hours. That's what is stipulated in the, in the response letters. It can take, for regular DMEs, and I'm talking about neurologic, orthopedic, dermatology, hand doctor, foot doctor, neurosurgeon, plastic surgery. All these are regular DMEs. Now there is a class of DMEs called neuropsychiatric DMEs, okay, or NPDs. Um, so these usually take between 3 hours and 8 hours. I've had them take from 3 hours, and I've had them take 4, 5, 6, and usually about 7 or 8 hours. And they start usually at 9 and they end at 5. So for that type of DME, your role is basically to record the audio of their history portion. So, sorry, I'm trying to change lanes here because I'm driving home. And like probably 75% of the time, the psychiatrist will say that you can't be in the room, which is allowed. Um, it's allowed for them to say that. So you will leave your recorder in there for the history part, and then at the end of that, they'll come and say, hey, the history is ended. Can you come and get your recorder? Because I always tell them, don't touch it, because there's a certain way to turn it off and to save the recording. So I always tell them, please call me and I will stop the recording. And so, and that's your part in that aspect of it. And 25% of the time, the doctor will say, oh yeah, sure, you can come in and be there for the history portion, so I'll be there recording, which I don't need to be there really, because, and it's usually a longer history portion, like it could take up to an hour, 45 minutes, just for the history part. And then the rest of the day is a battery of tests where they fill in bubbles and you're waiting outside. Your role is to record the history part and to be there in case the client feels uncomfortable, they want to talk to the attorney, make sure they get their bathroom or cigarette breaks, and obviously at least a 45-minute to an hour lunch, and then come back. Usually I go to lunch with the client, you know. But that's basically your role. They're the easiest DMEs because you're not doing anything other than record, and then you're outside waiting in the waiting area. You can be on Netflix, you can be working, you can talk to people, you can go outside and take a short walk, never too far away because you need to be available for the client if they need you, okay? So that's the length of DMEs I wanted to talk to you about. Usually I don't do any psych DMEs because I have at least one or more DMEs per day, and I don't have that time to spare. But obviously they make the most money for the least amount of work because you're not doing anything. You're just there to make sure everything goes well, right? The next thing I want to talk to you about is picture taking. Usually during plastic surgery, DMEs only, pictures are allowed, but I always, when I know that it's a plastic surgery DME, I will call the attorney or email them and say, hey, this is a plastic surgery DME. Do you allow pictures to be taken? Because usually the plastic surgeon wants to take a picture or two of the area that has been affected or injured or whatever the case is. So then they'll email me back and say, oh, okay, yes, that's fine. They can take a picture. I had an attorney tell me, whatever picture the doctor takes, you stand where he stood and you take the exact same picture. I want to see exactly what they took pictures of. Okay, so that's, you know, they have their own stipulations or whatever, and that's fine with me. And then I sent those pictures to him with my report and the recording, obviously. But usually it's allowed. Now, this was a dermatology DME that I just was with a young lady with some burns, and the doctor suddenly said, okay, now I'm going to take pictures. And I'm like, oh, you know, it caught me off guard because this doesn't usually happen. And so I had to say to the doctor, sorry, doctor, we're going to have to stop, and I have to call the attorney because I don't have the authority to let you take pictures. Usually they're not allowed except for, you know, I didn't explain, but I'm explaining to you. I just said I need to talk to the attorney. So thankfully the client had her attorney on speed dial. We called. He answered right away. And I was able to talk to him. Hey, you know, we're here at the dermatology DME, and the doctor wants to take pictures, which is not regular. And the attorney said, oh, okay, we did submit a lot of pictures, but I don't have a problem with her taking any pictures. And so that was resolved. I said, thank you very much. We continued. The whole DME took 15 minutes. So yeah, that was really nice and sweet. But I wanted to tell you, always have your attorneys or the paralegals number so you can call with any emergencies such as that. You want to be able to reach them if there's any problems with the doctor being rude or you know, abusive verbally or whatever, or if you have questions like, can they take pictures, or what if this, or you know, whatever, or if there's any problems like anybody from the defense is there present, they can't be present. So you know, if they don't listen to you, you call, hey, somebody here is from the defense, and I told them they can't attend, but they're still lingering around, and so yeah, that would be a big problem. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know length of DMEs and picture taking. Yeah, I want to talk to you in an upcoming video about the response letters and the demand letters, because that's very important. So yeah, that'll be in an upcoming, probably, oh, not next Friday because I'll be in Chile, but yeah, soon. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. If you have any questions, suggestions, or anything about defense medical exams or any legal nurse consulting aspects, just comment in the comments, or DM me or email me. My email is there somewhere. I had somebody email me and ask me a bunch of questions, and I was able to respond, and we're going to talk about it soon. Anyway, hope you have a good weekend. I'm so glad for the weekend. I've had such a busy week again, and I'm just thankful for the rest. God is good. Have a great weekend. God bless you guys, and as always, be healthy, be happy.